Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, I'm going to be showing you guys the 100% easiest way to get to Mexico and Guarma, and this is going to work every single time. So I don't know about you guys, but every time I read a tutorial online or I see a YouTube video showing me how to do something like to go to Mexico or Guarma in Red Dead Redemption 2, it always seems to work so flawlessly in the video or the tutorial. It makes sense. But then when I try and do it in game, I horribly fail or I just can't seem to do it and I get frustrated and I don't try it. Well, the other day I got a Facebook message from Dalton who showed me a way to get to Guarma and Mexico so easy. If I can do it, you guys can 1000% do it. So for this, all you're going to need is to have access to the epilogue, although I'm sure there are potentially other locations outside of the epilogue where this could also work. But for the sake of this video, we're doing it in the epilogue. So if you're John Marston or if you're Arthur Morgan, doesn't matter. All you need to do is go to this spot. Now, before you go to this location, you want to make sure that you have a ton of liquor, things that you can drink to make yourself pass out. So basically what you want to do is you want to cross the river. And you want to cross the river until you get to about this location right here. It's really close to Manteca Falls, which is just to the south of Thieves Landing, southeast of McFarland's Ranch, and also south of Blackwater. So you can see that you are able to cross technically into Mexico, but we want to go even further. So once you've crossed and once you have liquor, you want to go to this little location right here. It's sort of against the wall that prevents you from going any further. And after that, you just want to drink until you simply pass out. Now, I'm not sure how many drinks this ultimately takes. For me, I went through about 3 fine brandies and 3 gins, and that seemed to do the job. You'll know it happens when you lose your mini-map and you zoom out a lot. And when you wake up, it should be a couple of hours later. And if you've done this correctly, you should notice that you will be sort of further up the hill in Manteca Falls. And I guess I should have said this a little bit earlier, but I recorded this footage on Monday, April 29th. So that means that it is working on the latest version of Red Dead Redemption 2, whatever that might be. So that's another reason why this is so nice, because previous methods that you might have used could have been patched. And another thing that's great, you don't need a special wagon. You don't need to run up some hill and hope you glitch through a wall. You literally just pass out and now you're good to go. And now we are in Mexico and you are free to explore as often and as much as you want. Now, because Mexico is such a vast and open area, one thing I would recommend doing is, since your horse is going to be unable to get with you, is spawn in a horse. There's a couple of cheats that work. I like the one that is run, exclamation point, run, exclamation point, run, exclamation point. That will actually spawn a racehorse for you that you can use to travel around the map a little bit easier. Now, one thing you don't want to do, especially if you'd like to get to Guarma and beyond, you don't want to sort of go into the basin of Mexico. That'll actually get you trapped in there. What you want to do is sort of get over the outer rim. And in order to do this, you basically just need to find a spot on the wall and try and climb up it. I found this spot right here, and it was relatively easy to get up top. And once you've done that, you are pretty much good to go. You can head to any location you want in Mexico. Now, there's not a ton of iconic places in the map of Mexico, especially because Rockstar hasn't really done anything with Mexico in Red Dead Redemption 2, but there are still a couple of pretty cool places that you can check out. Now, for this video, I wanted to show you guys how to also go to Guarma, because I feel like that has more value, not only in terms of things to do and see, but there's also a purpose with Guarma. There's animals on Guarma that only spawn there, so you would need them to 100% fill up your compendium. So there is an actual use for this other than just exploring. Now, I think there's about 3 stages to getting outside of the map. There's sort of the normal stage that still looks really, really nice, like the landscape. You'll find animals, the trees are still really good. And then you'll get to what I call the PlayStation 2 sort of zone. The PlayStation 2 zone is where the grass and the ground starts to sort of lose texture. Same with the trees. So it sort of looks like you're playing a PlayStation 2 game. That's why I call it the PS2 era. The ground just starts to look really, really bad. Now, as you get further along, you'll notice that you will start to get really close to what the game considers the water, especially if you start heading to the southeast. And you'll even start to notice this on the minimap that I will eventually run out of land and I will technically be walking on water. Now, once you start sort of traveling on this water area, this is when you will sort of reach the Nintendo 64 era zone. This is when some parts of the land really don't even look like land. It just looks like a blurry blob. So you go from normal to PlayStation 2 to Nintendo 64. And once you've reached the Nintendo 64 zone, this is when you're going to start to get close to Guarma. Basically, all you have to do is head southeast until you get really, really close to Guarma's shore. And what will eventually happen is you'll just be riding along on your horse and you will soon enough run out of land. And you'll know this happens when you just sort of walk off a cliff. Now, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to fall over and die. You wouldn't think that's a good thing, but it actually is. Because if you do that successfully, you will now spawn on the island of Guarma. And now you are free to explore whatever you want. And as I mentioned earlier, the island of Guarma is much more populated, not only with people, but animals to explore. And you can also revisit some of the most iconic places from Chapter 5. Because all of the buildings and locations are still there, like the little camp that the gang has set up. You can still stay there. There's still things that you can grab, like Guarma rum. So the island is like still inhabited. Rockstar didn't like empty it out. There's also like a wanted dead or alive area too. There's a couple of areas here. It's Arroyo de la Víbora, La Capilla, and then you've got another place. It's Aguas Dulces, I think. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. There's a lot of different areas, though, that you can check out. And as I mentioned earlier, you are going to find a lot of different animals here that have not... And as I mentioned earlier, you're going to find a lot of different animals here that can like only be found on Guarma. So this gives you a chance to fill out your compendium if you want, or if you missed any of those animals, because I know when I was in Chapter 5, like, I wasn't focused on hunting animals. I was like, okay, I'd like to get off this island as quickly as possible so that I can return to my normal life. But that's just one thing you can do. You can talk to all of the people in there. You can interact with them. It is actually really, really cool to be back on this island. And as I mentioned earlier, you guys saw just how easy that was. Like, if I can do this, you can 100% do this. You basically just gather some liquor, head to that location, pass out, and then you're free to go wherever you want in Mexico or wherever you want in Guarma. Again, I would recommend going to Guarma. This is also great for taking photos or setting up scenes or role-playing or whatever you choose to do here. Now, definitely something interesting happened when I was on Guarma. Like, the closer I got to the towns and started interacting with people, I eventually did get noticed by the guards. Maybe I just overextended myself, but there are a lot of guards on Guarma, so like be careful about that. I'm also not sure if what you're about to see next is a glitch or if this is something Rockstar set up to prevent you from exploring the island outside of Chapter 5, because it felt like I was getting shot by invisible bullets. Like, look at this right here. I've almost got full health and I'm not wanted. However, I'm getting shot by something. Like, you can see that my health is going down, sort of randomly. And then all of a sudden, I'm sort of like insta-killed. Did Rockstar add something in here that like kills you instantly or shoots you on sight? That wouldn't be shocking. We've seen them do stuff like that in the past in GTA 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online, where it sort of prevents you from exploring areas even if you do manage to get there, which is kind of what's happened in our case right here. So that's another reason why I encourage you guys to try to explore areas like this for yourself, because that way you can try them, and if you have the same sort of experience, then we know that might be the case. Or if you have a different experience, you know that my game might have been unique or something different might have happened, which is always pretty cool in my opinion. So like I said, I highly recommend that you try this out for yourself. And even when I did go back a second time, which is why I think Rockstar might have put some provision in here, the same thing happened. Even though I didn't agitate any guards or anything like that, But it's still cool. You can explore the island, you can explore Mexico, and you can do so in by far the easiest way possible, which is important here because it's one thing to get to Mexico and out of the map in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's another thing when it like takes you an hour to do it. Like this takes you like 5 minutes at the most. So it's so easy. So as always, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about this easy way to get to Mexico and Guarma in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. Without the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.